Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Wednesday, April 8th, 2015. I am Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. The police are appealing to the persons who may have information pertaining to the death of Fountain Village resident Huelio Pableto Hadley to call the nearest police station or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477 to give that information. According to Police Public Relations Officer Inspector Lyndon David, the lifeless body of Hadley, the proprietor of a shop in Fountain Village, was discovered on the morning of Monday in front of his residence.
Based on our initial investigation, she left the shop sometime around 11 p.m. in the night and would have been apparently attacked by an unknown assailant. This time, though persons may see certain marks on the body, to say what caused the death, no one can say at this time unless an autopsy has been carried out. So we will be waiting on the results of an autopsy, which may be done today or later in the week.
Meantime, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, says the NIA and the federal government will be taking strong steps to investigate this and other crimes.
The Prime Minister, based on our discussions, he has indicated a zero tolerance to crime, and I'm sure, having spoken to the High Commissioner of the United Kingdom and to the Ambassador of the United States, that he will make serious requests for assistance to deal with the issue of crime in St. Kitts and Nevis. Because let us not fool ourselves. Any incident of crime is a black mark against the country. But it also has the potential to reduce the perception of people as to whether or not our country is safe.
The Premier, who noted that the government's purpose is to do all in its power to eradicate criminal activity, also reiterated the government's zero tolerance for crime.
One of the things which we think is critical to the development and the economic growth of St. Kitts and Nevis is to have a place which is secure, which is safe, so that those who invest and those who visit can know that their investment is safe and that they can come and enjoy our beautiful countries, our beautiful islands, enjoy the history. They can enjoy the culture, they can enjoy the food, and just have a wonderful holiday or reside in a country, in two islands, which are in a way very, very unique and very essential and very environmentally friendly for visitors.
Premier and Minister responsible for security on Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory. At a retirement ceremony to bid farewell to Assistant Commissioner of Police Robert Liebert and Police Inspector Franklin Belgrove, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Vance Amory, used the opportunity to speak of his experience with the two officers. The Premier addressed the ceremony in his capacity as Minister responsible for security in Nevis.
It is clear to me that ACP Liebert demonstrated the type of professionalism which any profession, any vocation requires. But also, as with all professions, especially professions in the armed forces, like the police, the matter of sacrifice, long hours, willing to go beyond the call of duty, those must have been the hallmarks of ACP Liebert's tenure as a police officer.
Premier Amory also spoke about his brief working experience with the second retiree, Inspector Belgrove.
I only got to know Inspector Belgrove for a very short while when he came to be officer in charge of the CID here in Nevis. And it was a little disappointing for me that he had determined to retire, because I thought he hadn't yet gotten his feet fully wet in Nevis. And I can say to you that I believe that there had been some changes and some definite impression which he made on the men with whom he worked and with his 2 senior officers. And I can recall the times when they would come and we would sit to discuss strategy, what they were doing. They would give me a briefing, and I will share the benefit of my knowledge of the Nevis community to help in my way as a citizen of the country to provide that impetus and that support for the work that they were doing.
The farewell ceremony took place at the Charlestown Police Station's Recreation Room on Tuesday, March 31st. The Handley's Road Rehabilitation Project has been described by Junior Minister of Communications and Works, the Honorable Troy Liburd, as a people-centered project, as it is a manifestation of the NIA's policy to employ the skills of local people. Minister Liburd made the remarks as he addressed a recent town hall meeting with residents of that community.
I'm very pleased that this project is being done by us here in Nevis, done by the Public Works Department, supervised by the Public Works Department, and that the work will be done. A lot of the work on this Handley's Road project will be done by people from the area, people from Handley's Road, people from the surrounding areas, and people from the island, from the entire island of Nevis. We intend to employ local equipment, local excavators, backhoes. I'm certain for those who have gone up the road and have seen us working, you would see some of the local guys are already getting into the work. And I am firm in my belief, and this administration, we have been firm in the policy of allowing the people of Nevis to excel, giving the people of Nevis an opportunity to do work. The cost estimates that we have done are in the range of about $8.5 million. So it's a lot of money that the government is investing here in Handley's Road.
This is the largest road construction project that has so far been undertaken by the Public Works Department. Director Raoul Pemberton, in giving an overview, said the department endeavors to produce a good quality road which would meet international standards.
The proposed works spans a total of just about 1.6 kilometers, 1.6 miles, with an average width of about 16 feet. That is road width, where the cars are going to drive 16 feet. We will see the paving of the road would have to be done in sections. So rather than you having to wait the duration of the project to see a nice, as we call it, black top, a nice smooth asphalted road, we would have it done in phases. So before the end of the project, we would actually start enjoying the road that we would have constructed for you. Land constraints. Where possible, we would endeavor to have sidewalks, that is grass verges, constructed to minimize the risk of any injury to pedestrians. The paving of the road would have to be done in sections. So rather than you having to wait the duration of the project to see a nice, as we call it, black top, a nice smooth asphalted road, we would have it done in phases. So before the end of the project, we would actually start enjoying the road that we would have constructed for you.
Premier of Nevis and area representative for the St. George's constituency, the Honorable Vance Amory, noted he is happy that the project has started and wants to get it done as well as possible.
This was one of the first things we wanted to complete once we got back into government. But we wanted to make it a comprehensive project. That is, we were looking at the upgrade of the water distribution in this area, and having spoken to the minister over the period of time, we thought we would wait until we had the island water project ready to go, so that we didn't have to complete this Handley's Road with a proper service and then have to come and dig the road up again. It wouldn't have made any sense. So we had to plan a little longer to get this done.
Meantime, the Nevis Water Department is using the opportunity to upgrade the water distribution mains in the Handyswood area.
One of the things that you would experience as we install this pipeline is interruptions. We will try our best to avoid breaking the pipes, but we just want to alert the public that these instances are imminent and we can happen at any time. So we just want to alert you that to be prepared. You can actually pour or save a bucket of water because the interruptions can happen at any time.
The Handyswood rehabilitation project is expected to be completed within 8 months.
Culture, Fet and Fun. Culturama 41.
Welcome back. The reduction in prices of value-added tax VAT exempt items is expected to take place by the end of April, so said Premier and Minister of Trade and Consumer Affairs, the Honorable Vance Amory, yesterday as he addressed consumers' concerns of price gouging following the April 7th removal of VAT from food, medicine and funeral expenses.
The Consumer Affairs Department in Nevis, as will also the Consumer Affairs Department officers in St. Kitts, will be vigilant. They will be out monitoring to ensure that there is no gouging of the consumer. I think it's important that we know that, and that consumers will know that at least for every they've been spending in terms of VAT on items because of the 17%, they would have been spending about $1.02 for every $6 which they spent. So they will have a good idea based on the old prices, what they should be paying as a fair price based on the removal of VAT from food items. And I want to give them that practical example so they know based on their consumption in the past months before this removal of the VAT from food items, what they should be looking at. But it would be imperative that the Consumer Affairs Department and those who are charged to monitor what goes on in terms of price movements, that they go and do their spot checks, ensure that there is no gouging and that the people get the benefit.
The VAT removal initiative took effect yesterday, Tuesday, April 7th, 2015. Meantime, while speaking with the Nevis Newscast today, Director of Consumer Affairs, Laurencia Tyson, outlined the steps her department has taken to ensure the true benefits of the VAT removal are realized by residents.
We have checked the supermarkets before the VAT was removed to make sure that when it is removed, that there is a change in prices. If there are no changes, then we'll have to look into that and seek as to why there's no changes. It could be a number of issues. It could be the suppliers has increased their prices, and it could also be that they have included the VAT and try to make a profit off of that good.
She also spoke to the business's role and responsibility.
We are working off of two lists. One that was previously announced in December by our former Prime Minister, and there's a new list that is announced by our new Prime Minister. We found that the new list is a little bit more extensive, a little bit more broad, and what we have to do is to back check both lists to make sure that all of the goods are saying no VAT, because there would have been a number that was previously announced and those that are announced currently. So we have to back check both lists. So some businesses might have just been working off of the new list, but truth and in fact there should have been no VAT on a number of items since December. So we have to look at both lists when we are doing our checks.
Tyson says, most importantly, consumers have a role to play.
The consumer's part is basically to be more vigilant, as I've expressed on many occasions. Back check your receipts before leaving the supermarkets. Make sure that there is no VAT. As you can see, there's a number of items that are no VAT, but there are some also would still have VAT. As the time goes on, the VAT might be removed from them as well. So I just look at your receipts, back check everything, make sure that there's no VAT on the items that are specified, and if there is something that raises a question, be sure to call the department and we can look into that.
Director of Consumer Affairs Laurencia Tyson, a release from the St. Kitts and Nevis Information Service advises that businesses that do not pass on the intended VAT relief to consumers will be referred to the Inland Revenue Department and the Customs and Excise Department for appropriate action. Another area which will be rigorously monitored by the Consumer Affairs Department are the retail and wholesale markups which are being placed on items laid out in statutory rules and Order Number 41 of the Price Control Order 2007. These items are also classified as the food basket and are made up of 23 food descriptions, which include frozen chicken, frozen meats, Vienna sausage, and pasta products. All items on this price control order attract a retail price markup of 25% for frozen goods and 20% for dried goods. Consumer Affairs will be monitoring to make sure that in the shopper's interest, VAT is indeed removed before the markup is applied to the items. Persons who notice significant increases in the prices of food items are asked to call the Consumer Affairs Department. And finally, Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris will be among several CARICOM heads of government who will attend a summit to be held between the region and the United States of America on April 9th in Jamaica. Addresses will be made by U.S. President Barack Obama and Jamaica's Prime Minister Portia Simpson Miller. Other presentations will be made by the Prime Ministers of Barbados, Dominica, and Trinidad on the topics of competitiveness and prosperity, renewable energy, and security, respectively. The heads of government will engage the U.S. President in discussions on these and other critical issues. Prime Minister Harris is looking forward to the meeting as it will give the region a further boost in its relationship with the United States. He says this is an important summit. President Obama, by coming to the Caribbean, is signaling the continuing interest of the USA in constructive engagement in the Caribbean, which looks forward to more concrete outcomes and deliverables. The Prime Minister's delegation will include Minister of Energy, the Honorable Ian Liburd, Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Mark Brantley, the St. Kitts and Nevis High Commissioner to Jamaica, His Excellency Cedric Harper, and Director in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kay Bass. The summit is preceded by a caucus of CARICOM heads of government, which was expected to take place in Jamaica today, Wednesday, April 8th.